That's a bit different.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to Bible study at Our Lady of the Wayside on Friday morning. We've got some interesting readings today, and if you haven't been thinking about politics enough, and if you haven't been thinking about world affairs enough in the past few weeks, well, here you get some more. But the perspective that we get from our scriptures is so grounding and so helpful and so much the guidance that a lot of us need right now at this time in history. I want to first start with a little piece of trivia about the first reading, and then with a little twist on the gospel reading. First, for the piece of trivia. In this first reading, Isaiah is going to prophesy during the time when Israel is under the neck of the Assyrians. He's going to prophesy a particular emperor of Persia who is going to free the Israelites from Babylon, Assyria, and allow them to go back to the Holy Land. And he names him by name, Cyrus. Now you might wonder, how could Isaiah name some foreigner years before that foreigner has come to power and describe what this person is going to do? Well, easy answer, he's a prophet. Well, God uses human beings, so he would have to use Isaiah in a human way. And I'm going to tell you with a little key to how Isaiah got to name Cyrus by name. God, of course, knew Cyrus's name. Well, first of all, keep in mind that capital letters and small letters were not invented until 800 years after Christ. So Isaiah is not using a capital letter when he's putting down a person's name, because there weren't such things as the difference between capital and small letters. There weren't, you couldn't mark your proper noun with a capital letter. And the name Cyrus translates shepherd. So Isaiah is writing, there will be shepherd who will free my people and let them go back home. And the name shepherd is the same as the name Cyrus. Well, according to Jewish histories, when Cyrus came to power in Persia and then conquered Babylon, the Jews were able to go to him and say, look at our old book where your name is in our book. Now that's in an extra biblical story, but Cyrus's name was in Isaiah's book. So that's how it happened, because his name happens to be shepherd. And it always makes me laugh, because if Isaiah had wanted to prophesy that somebody was going to orbit the earth, he could have said, a shepherd will orbit the earth. And then fast forward 2,700 years, 2,300 years, Alan Shepard orbits the earth. So,
but also Jesus was going to be a shepherd.
yes,
So the prophecy was for Jesus.
that too.
Yes.
And anytime you have a prophecy about liberation, it's always looking forward to Jesus. And anytime you have a prophecy about Messiah or anointed one, and Cyrus is named as anointed one, this is also a little pre-echo, not an echo, it would be a pre-echo of Jesus.
Wow.
So that's our first reading, which has to do with politics and God's organization of future politics. Now, incidentally, Cyrus, we have in the British Museum owns something called the Cyrus cylinder, which was made at the time of Cyrus, where Cyrus says, I came to power, I became the leader of the world. And when I got to conquer Babylon, I let some of the people go home to where they wanted to live. So I'm a really good follower of God Marduk. So Cyrus did not believe in the true God, but he did allow the Israelites to go home eventually. So there's a happy political story from the Middle East. Hold on to that, because
Not many happy stories.
not many happy stories, but you could always look forward to another happy story. Now, our gospel is one of those, we're after Palm Sunday, and the leaders of the Jews are trying to figure out a way to get Jesus killed. So there are two ways to get him killed. One of them is to stone him themselves, which is illegal. And the other is to get Pilate to stone him, to kill him. And so they ask Jesus, is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? And the reason it's put in here is to trap Jesus. If he says, no, you shouldn't pay the taxes, then Pilate will get him. If he says you should pay the taxes, then the Jews will say, so you think that this Roman occupation is just? Then the Jews would be against him. And so Jesus cleverly answers with, pay to Caesar, whose image is on the coin. Give to Caesar what's to Caesar's, and to God what's to God's. Well, next week, we're going to get love your neighbor as yourself, and you'll have to remember you're supposed to love yourself as well as your neighbor. In this one, we need to remember whose image belongs to God. What give to Caesar what is Caesar's, but remember from the book of Genesis, where it says, God made humanity in his image. In the image of God, he created them. So if the image on the coin tells you to give the coin to Jesus, then the image on your heart tells you who you belong to and who human beings belong to. So human beings do not belong to Caesar. And so there's a story in Peter Kreeft's commentary. Elizabeth Anscombe's 16-year-old daughter was arrested for praying or picketing too close to the bubble zone of an abortion clinic. And she defended herself in court, and the judge said to her, well, I know you're a Christian, but didn't your leader say, render to Caesar what is Caesar's? And Elizabeth Anscombe's 16-year-old daughter said, he also said, render to God what is God's, and the unborn babies do not belong to Caesar. So it makes me think about why we live in this crazy political time. In a lot of ways, our lives are so easy. We have indoor plumbing, we have food, we have so much that's so easy. But we live in a climate where ideas are clashing, and whether we go along with the flow of our culture, our sex-saturated, merchandise-saturated, conflict-saturated culture, or whether we devote ourselves to God, is a really big issue. And each of us is going to be called to courage. And this reading gives us an impetus to courage. Well, and that's just the beginning of Bible study. If you'd like to know more about Bible study at Our Lady of the Wayside, you can email BibleStudy@olwparish.org, and I would love to see you on a Friday morning, either in person or via Zoom. Blessings and peace. Stop recording.